Hey everybody, welcome to the Midnight World, Midnight Mondays here on the compound. I am going to be your director tonight. I am James, one of the co-creators of the Midnight World. I just wanted to kind of give you guys an update. I know we showed you guys this last time, but we're going to show it to you again. You can go on Drive-Thru RPG right now using a link that I will put in chat here in just a moment to get your hardbound premium color copy of the Midnight World. It's 224 pages and 7 years of work. So please drop by and check us out, especially if this happens to be the first time you watch the game and you super dig it. We'd love you to come pick up our game and join us on our journeys through the Midnight World. Every week we try to do something to help a charity along. We want to make sure that we're giving back to our community as much as possible. This week I was asked to come up with a charity for you guys to donate to. We're going to be donating to the Georgia Innocence Project. It's a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping individuals here in Georgia who have been convicted of crimes that they did not commit. They have exonerated several people from Georgia's death row, and we want to try to help out our comrades behind bars who did nothing to get there. That said, we're going to go around the room and introduce all of our players tonight. We are going to start with Gavin.
Hi, everybody. I'm Gavin, typically the host of Midnight Monday, but fortunately I get to play. One of the co-developers on the Midnight World, and I am playing Lucius Sempronius Priscus. I am, the eldest son of the house that this whole thing kind of revolves around. And, looking at my sheet here, I'm a little stressed out.
A little stressed out.
Yeah. A little stressed out. A little bit.
I think you might just be a little stressed out.
Wee bit.
All right. From there, we are going to move along and let's go to Sempronii Priscus.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rania Stars. I'm playing Sempronii Priscus, what did we decide? The only daughter of the main family?
Only daughter, yeah.
Yes, the only daughter of the main family. We're in a little bit of trouble, and we have just popped up in my temple with with the temple that I'm technically employed at with no explanation. So we're gonna see how I can do. Wow, this is gonna be fun. Yeah.
I'd say that you're in a pickle. Yeah.
Oh no, really?
Yeah. So let's move.
My priest is gonna be terrified.
Yeah. Let's move to Lucius Cassius Solus. Tell us about you as a player and a little bit about your character.
Hi, I'm Chris, also go by The Serpent in various online areas, and I'm kind of just a gamer. I've been playing tabletop games and video games for probably 3 decades now, because I think the first time I actually started tabletop when I was 12. So I'm pleased as punch to be here. And I'm starting I guess one of my current hobbies right now is just starting to get into amateur brewing with mead. But right now, Solus is looking at this with some amusement because this is definitely going to be a strange thing to explain, especially the man who seems to be very painfully healing his wounds rapidly in front of everybody. So it'll be interesting.
Okay, right on. We're going to go now down to Lucius Cornelius Ormanus. Tell us about yourself and your character.
Hi, I'm Ian, and I'm going to be playing Lucius Cornelius Ormanus. As you can tell by the accent, I'm not from your side of the world. Sorry. I'm the developer of a new genre-neutral D20 RPG called Arcanus TTRPG. Or used to be called Fires of Atheny. We're old friends of the Nat 30s. Cornelius, because there's far too many Luciuses around here. Cornelius is, standing around looking rather bored.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Kat. So the next thing that we're going to do, real quickly, I do want to warn everybody in the channel tonight that our content warnings are going to be violence, gore, betrayal, death, monsters, vermin, rituals, and of course, slavery. We last left our group just after you had narrowly managed to survive the attack by the mournful consort and the rageful consort of Melinoe. You learned a little bit about what Melinoe is and her connection to nightmares and dreams. And as the sort of vision of Melinoe began to fade away, you came back to your senses within the Temple of Vesta, which is very much not destroyed, very much not littered with corpses as you had perceived it just a few moments earlier. And the sacred flame has not been extinguished, but is in fact in front of you, along with one of the minor sisters of the order who is sort of staring at you wide-eyed. And you are, the lead tablet is in the fire. The words in Greek on the tablet are glowing white hot, even though the rest of the tablet does not seem to be affected by the flame at all.
So,
one second. As a point of order, am I still invisible?
No, because this is technically a new scene.
Okay.
So, Sempria is immediately going to jump in here, and turn to the junior maiden and be like, "Wait, this man needs help!" Like, basically try and distract from the oddity of our appearance by seeking aid for the injured member, the very injured of our party.
She will recognize you, and you will recognize her. She is a younger sister, but she has been tasked with guarding the sacred flame, which kind of is it's sort of one of the first big prestigious responsibilities you're granted. So she's on a track towards some sort of administration. And you recognize her. She clearly sees you, understands that you're here, sees the injured on the floor. Her face is as white as a sheet. And she says, Sister Sempronius Priscus, I will of course dispatch our sisters to care for your wounded. I think you should probably speak to the Vestivius, or Vestivia. You should probably speak to the Vestivia.
Absolutely.
You know, to be the leader of the order.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And that is definitely within my intentions. But for now, like, this man needs assistance.
Sisters do come in the room, and as they start to recognize that you have somebody terribly wounded, they will do the best that they can do. I'm sorry, the word is Vestilis Maxima. My bad. I apologize. But they clearly see that you've got this injured person, and they're going to do their best. Who's the one that's most injured? Is it Solus?
I'm pretty sure it's actually Calidus.
Calidus.
Calidus is way more injured because he kept getting dropped and brought back up and dropped and brought back up and dropped.
Right, so you guys are all pretty badly hurt.
I think I'm the only other one that got hurt.
Okay,
actually.
cool.
Yeah,
I got hurt a little bit.
I'm fine.
So several sisters will come in the room, and they will immediately start attending to Calidus. Calidus, you can feel that the poultices that they're putting on your wounds burn really, really bad. They don't feel like they're injuring you further, but it definitely is an unpleasant feeling. And when you sort of react in pain, one of the sisters will say that the deepest magics all cost something. Did we lose Calidus, or did his camera just go off? Okay, well, Calidus passed out from the pain. And after maybe less than 15 minutes, they're sort of working with Calidus. They get to a point where it's clear that they think they've done what they can do. They're going to step out of the room. A few minutes later, as you guys are sort of looking at the virgin who is guarding the flame, she will look between you, over your shoulders. Her face will turn beet red. She will nod silently and pad out of the room. And as you turn around, you will see standing in the door an older woman. When I say older, she's still only maybe 30 years old, but she's old for a virgin. Calidus, you passed out from pain, but you're back now. But you see standing in the doorway the Vestalis Maxima, and she is sort of just taking all of this in. She hasn't said anything.
I missed a little bit of that because I had a weird web browser issue. It just crashed.
So several of the sisters, they've done what they can do for you, and they've decided to sort of leave the room. And when they do, you see the leader of the Vestal Virgins, the Vestalis Maxima Acacia. She is standing in the door, just sort of taking this all in. She has a sort of, the look on her face is one of concern, but not overly concerned. She's just kind of trying to figure out what is going on right now.
Okay. And what'd you say her name was?
You would call her Maxima.
Maxima. I apologize for the sudden nature of our arrival. It was quite sudden for us as well. May we speak privately?
You sort of look around the room of the Eternal Flame or the Sacred Flame, and there's nobody else in the room.
Oh. Well, other than, the people with me.
Right. So you, you get the indication from her that she would rather an explanation come from this entire assemblage before she wants to go into a private room with anyone.
Fair. How this on the spot stuff is not something I'm good at. Well, actually, that's a good question. Because this is gonna sound crazy to anybody else. Calidus, would you like to try and explain this? Because I have no idea how to go about this at this point. Like I am at a loss.
Gavin did not hear quite a bit of that because I'm fixing an issue with my browser. So what is...
That's okay. I tell you what, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a prompt that may help.
Okay.
So you guys are sort of just like, it's hard to find an explanation for this because you don't really understand what the hell's happening either. And Sempria turns towards Calidus and says, do you want to maybe take this? And when you do, you move in just enough of a way that she has a direct eye line to the tablet that is still in brazier that is holding the sacred flame, and she sees it, and her eyes almost pop out of her head. They immediately, there is a look on her face. And I would like anybody who wants to roll an intuition, and we will call this, hold on, let me refer to my handy dandy 224 page premium color hardback that I got off of Drive-Thru RPG using the link in chat. You're going to use an intuition, and we'll call this empathy check. You can upgrade this. You, Sempria, can upgrade this on the basis of knowing Maxima well enough. Everybody else can upgrade this if you have, we will call this psychology.
Okay, so that means we can upgrade all of our dice to D8. Correct?
If you, yes, not all of them, just your skill dice.
Just my skill.
And
was
which
the-
skill did you say?
What's the
psychology.
attribute and skill? Which attribute and skill?
The attribute is intuition. The skill is empathy.
How many distress dice do I have right now? Jesus.
Oh, and don't forget your distress dice,
Yes, don't forget your stress dice.
because I didn't reset those, because I'm not a nice person.
It's fine. This is a very distressing situation.
And
Hey, 2.
I'm going to try and reroll a couple of these.
you've got 2 hits and no negatives.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Five
Yep.
works. Yeah. Yep.
So it looks like everybody succeeded. This is very clearly a look of recognition. She knows what that is. And right around the moment that you register that she knows what that is, she steps back and places her hand over her heart and just breathes in a single ragged breath that could be reverence, it could be awe, it could be fear.
Maxima, you've seen this.
I
So-
have never seen it, no, but I know what it is. She walks up, she reaches her hand into the flame and retrieves the tablet. And even though the tablet is lead, you know that it's just a lead sheet you had in your hands. It doesn't seem any more pliable. It should have melted in that flame, but it doesn't even seem any more pliable, except for the lettering, which is glowing that white orange hot. And she just holds it and she scans it. And she reads maybe the first half of one line, and then she looks away and guards her eyes. And she says, "Can someone please cover this?" And she hands it just out. She does not know who to hand it to, so she just
I
sort of
grab it
hands out. Okay.
and wrap it back up where what I had it in before.
You have a tablet of the Vox Magica. Why?
Why wouldn't I?
I feel like the amount of arguments against you having this relic are so profound that they could fill many volumes. I don't have the amount of time required to explain to you why you should not have this. So I would like you to give me a more solid, singular answer as to why you do.
It's something that's been in our family for an unknown amount of time.
She leans forward a little bit and she inspects your face. And she reaches her hand out as Vox Magica, not Vox Machina. Vox just means voice. Vox Machina means voice in the machine. Vox Magica means the voice of magic. It's a whole Latin thing. So she leans forward and she reaches out to touch your face. Do you try to stop her from doing that?
I'm gonna pull my head back slightly, but I'm gonna allow her to do it.
You pull your head back and her hand starts to withdraw, and then you sort of give her that look like, okay. She grabs your face very gently, and her fingers are not hot to the touch like you would imagine they must be from holding this thing. They're perfectly normal temperature. And she's going to turn your cheek very slightly to one side and then to the other as she sort of investigates your eyes and the structure around your eyes. And her eyes get a little twinkle in them, and she leans back and says, family heirloom, is it?
Yes.
Yes, Maximus, as far as we're aware.
It is a shame that this responsibility has fallen on you, but fallen it has. She turns towards you, Sempria Prisca, and she says, Sempria Prisca, unless I misremember, your retirement looms, does it not?
Yes, it does.
In that case, let me be the first to welcome you to your graduation from the order and your return to civilian life.
What? But I'm not. It's not time. It's not ready.
She leans forward and she very gently places a hand on your shoulder, and all the hardness in her falls away. And she's not talking to a group of weirdos that appeared in the middle of a room anymore. She is talking to her sister that she loves. And she says, please don't misunderstand. You will be remembered for eternity as one of the order's greatest devotees. But the responsibilities that have befallen you require you to enact bans that you will not be able to do while wearing these robes.
So then what now? What am I supposed to do? Am I just supposed to go home?
Can't really do that, can you?
No, we can't.
Bit of a
So
problem with
what
that.
now?
Whatever you do from this moment forward will be as the fates have decided it. That said, she looks at the tablet again. They are going to come for that. The way that I see it, you have three options. Perhaps there is something that I cannot see, but I can see three paths clearly. The first is that you leave Rome tonight. If you can make your way to the harbor, I know a friendly ship captain that will take you to Athens. Perhaps your problems will follow you there, but the distance will at least slow them. The second path is that you can go to Sulla and you can plead your case in front of him directly. You can ask him to reinstate your family and wonder aloud what he might want with this. And the third option is that you can confront the creature that was in my temple. Nothing sets foot in this temple without me knowing. And my intelligence is already reporting on the location that the thing sleeps during waking hours. Again, you may see a path that I do not see, but those are the three that I can see clearly.
Well, I think either confronting or leaving are the best two options, because if we are confronting the entity, that is,
Yeah,
if we go to
there's no way our family gets reinstated, not after last night.
right, and I don't think that I have a feeling that whatever caused this entire issue and our need to even be reinstated, he's just a pawn in this. That the real answer is going to lie with that creature, regardless.
But it nearly killed us. We can't possibly not as we are. Surely maybe there's help to be had in literally any other place but here.
So as you guys are talking, I will note to Solus and Calidus that your wounds are knitting underneath the bandages they've put on you. Each of you can recover half of your health.
Half
Nice.
total or half of the...
Half of however much you've lost.
Okay. Hey, I'm an 8 now.
Nice.
Feeling pretty good about things.
Way less wounded.
It may... I doubt that whatever's going to happen, though, is going to be solved tonight. Perhaps taking the ship to Athens may be the best course of action so we can regroup and decide and find out more about this Vox Magica.
And then what? Rage some holy crusade against that thing?
At this point, I'm willing to rage it against Rome itself if they don't get their shit together. So, yeah.
Fair enough, brother. Well, as it seems I am under no protected status, and I suppose for me and you at least, brother, it's best for us to leave tonight.
What about you two? I'm going to look over at the others. It seems that you have thrown in with us, but does this change your mind?
Intrigues me.
Well, I mean, when it all comes down to it, I'm still you're still my patient, as it were. I do want to collect Lydia, though, and my things.
I would assume that I'm no longer in your service, Master Calidus, as you no longer have a house with which to claim me. However, I should say I'm intrigued.
You and me both. So, the ship?
Yes, that seems to be our option, Maxima.
Okay. So let's grab whatever provisions we need and start heading out. What is the name of this ship?
She tells you the name of the ship is the Spreading Tree. And she tells you also, she says, I don't know what the right answer here is, but if this is the answer that you think is best, then that is what we will do. I need you to go to the harbor. I need you to find a ship called the Spreading Tree. There is a man on it. His name is Cornelius Beta, and he owes us a favor. He will ensure that you make a passage to Athens as quietly as possible. However, I can't protect you from here to there. These people or beings are looking for this. It behooves you to be as quiet as possible as you move through the city. I would like everyone to remember your sphere, because your sphere could help you potentially get through the city. It could potentially help you notice things that you wouldn't otherwise notice. If at any time during this first act that you feel that your sphere would help you in any way, or if you want to do some intelligence gathering or legwork using your sphere to try to find the best way to get to the harbor, just let me know and we will do that.
And I will probably almost certainly be using my spear once we're moving about out in public again.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Whoop, ignore that. I'm sorry.
kind of same. Like my goal at this point is to make it to the whatever dock unmolested and unnoticed. So I'll definitely be using what I know to at least try and find us like a safe house of some kind.
Okay.
To pass the time.
And you said you're speculator, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So do me a favor, and you are going to roll your charisma and your manipulation. You can upgrade your D4s using I'll allow you to use either larceny or I think it's actually just larceny, because you're trying to talk to exactly the correct kind of people.
Well, I do not have that. Oh. 1, 2, 3.
So that looks like a complicated success from here.
Hold on. You can't resize the die there. You can't resize the dice roller, and it doesn't show up for me on the list. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. So that's 1 success.
Okay, excellent. So you have heard of a network of enterprising individuals who, if the coin is right, will ensure that people that have been proscribed can get out of the city. You know that these people are most likely also tied to the people who are killing proscribed people. And it really means that you have to be willing to pay them more than they would get by looting you, basically. So usually it's not just coin that they're after. They are after coin. They want coin and favor. And if you can pay the right price, they can almost certainly get you to where you need to go without alerting anyone.
I mean, do we have access to that kind of coin right now, y'all?
I have some coin.
Everybody should have coin, and you should have precisely how many coins you have.
I mean, I do have some coins.
There's my sticky notes.
I
Don't.
believe that we have enough coin to handle this, unless they are going to charge us exorbitant amounts.
Considering our lives are in their hands, I would not be surprised.
We should probably not let them know that.
There's
They already
they
do.
all, oh, I'm sorry.
Our family is on the list in the forum, brother dear. Everyone knows that our lives are forfeit.
Well, we'll just have to offer them more than they would get for turning us in.
All that I have is yours. Though, Maxima, I do. Oh dear, he crashed again.
I have no clue why he keeps doing that.
Would you have civilian clothing available for me to change into?
Certainly.
I fear that my robes are no longer appropriate for my station.
She looks down. There's a look of, sort of hurt in her eyes, because she understands that this is hurting you, and you feel that from her. and she says, I'm quite sure it's the other way around, sister. You have ascended, not descended. I will fetch robes for you, my domina. And she goes, and you realize, like, oh, right, they're subservient to the people of Rome. And so she's just referred to you as domina. And she goes and she gets you a beautiful, beautiful gown and a toga to wear.
I take the assistance I'm probably going to be offered by another handmaiden or another maiden, and I'll change into it.
Okay. As you're changing, she says, or I'm sorry, she doesn't say, you know, Sempria, that there is a brothel, actually not particularly far from here, where some of the faceless people who run this underground transportation service tend to partake of their evening's pleasures.
So as I finish changing, come forward, kind of getting used to new clothes. Gentlemen, I believe I know where we can find our mode of transportation.
Good.
Oh, good. Well, let's get to it.
Yes. We'll be
We wanna be as far
we'll be
away as
make-
we can before the sun rises.
Yes. We will be heading towards a particular brothel for our evening.
Not sure I brought enough coin for that, but lead the way.
All right, and you guys make your way. As you leave the Temple of the Virgins, you get stopped no less than 15 times as other sisters come to congratulate Sempria Prisca, who is leaving, having been allowed to change into her clothes inside the temple, which is a clear sign that she has been elevated back to her station of a normal life. And there is a sadness, but there's also a lot of joy. And you make your way out, and you make your way to this brothel. And this brothel is not clean. None of them are. But this one is not as dirty as some that you might find in the seedier sectors of town. This one is, this one's not for legionnaires. This one is for legatee. So the girls are probably healthy. They tend not to be foreigners. And all of the disgusting things that you would imagine. But towards the back of the main room, the area where you go, and as you go into this, it's not set up like a brothel in the modern world. There are girls milling about with men who are sitting on tables and singing and drinking and having a good time. And when a deal is struck, then the people will retire to another room. But it is very sort of this big open air area where everybody is having a good time. Towards the back of that area, in a little alcove, there is, and there's several such alcoves. There is a lot of criminal activity happening here, but you know which criminal booth you're looking for. And you are able to navigate back to that area. And there are 3 men sitting at a table without women, and they are discussing something in hushed tones. They are wearing relatively standard togas and tunics. They don't seem poor by any stretch of the imagination, but they certainly aren't wearing, gilded hems and the most expensive cloths. They look middle class, so they're probably merchants of some kind. And as you approach, they sort of look up at you, and there is instantaneous recognition on their faces. They try to hide it, and they can't. They know who you are, and they are just too shocked. They're so shocked by seeing you here that it doesn't require a roll for you to notice.
I'm Glimmergeist, by the way. I was gonna say that. I was just waiting for a break in here.
Okay, my apologies. Is anybody else Glimmergeist?
Nope.
Then the same holds true.
I am trying to make myself nondescript.
Right on.
I'm not, but then again, I'm not a wanted man.
Okay. Make sure to spend your minute, Gavin.
Yeah, 2 minutes.
You're right, 2 minutes. The assembled men sort of recover from their shock, and what you assume to be the leader among them Domina, please have a seat among us. We did not know to expect such illustrious company this evening.
Surely you jest, but I will join you.
I can't help but notice a change in your vestments.
Yes, I was granted a graduation of sorts from my duties.
Ha.
Now,
Well, congratulations are in order, and he motions for somebody to bring over wine.
thank you. It was quite the surprise for me, and however, much awaited. I am glad to be back among the public again.
We are glad to have you, and he makes sure that if anybody wants wine, they're welcome to it.
So we
I
do
can't,
have.
I'm sorry. Please continue.
So we do seem to have a rather unfortunate issue to discuss, don't we?
Well, I can't but imagine that someone of your stature would be here unless they intend to discuss business. And he looks around the room. While there are multiple kinds of businesses that happen in this building, I assume you want to discuss mine and not theirs.
You are quite correct. And quite... Yes, you are correct. You'll have to forgive me. I am ill-practiced in these matters these days.
No one is holding anything against you, Domina. We are so pleased to break bread with you this evening. Speaking of which, I need motions, and they bring bread to the table. You, of course, understand that your situation is tenuous at best.
Yep. But I still partake. No reason not to.
And I assume, he looks around the table at each of you, that any accommodations that you intend to book, you would not be booking alone.
Oh goodness, no. Could you imagine me, someone of my stature, traveling alone? That'd be unheard of, don't you think?
Quite
Unthinkable,
gauche.
even. Exactly. I'm so glad you understand.
He kind of looks you each up and down a bit, and there's like some sort of mental calculus that he's running in his head. You can see the sort of machine turning, but you can't really get a read on what it is that he's trying to decide on. After a moment, he sort of leans over to one of the other men, and he holds his hand up so that his lips aren't visible, and he whispers into that man's ear. And there's a little conversation that happens on that side of the table. After a moment, he goes, I don't mean to be rude. I just need to discuss things with my partners. I hope that's all right.
Please, by all means.
And he goes
We're all
back to
friends
it.
here.
And you can see that they're trying. Actually, let's have everybody roll an intuition and empathy again. And you can upgrade this one with psychology. So pretty much the same roles before.
Intuition and empathy, 73.
You said intuition and what? Empathy? Yeah.
5 distress dice.
Yep. Ain't that a
Yeah, I think
bitch?
we all got
Woof.
about that.
I got a 0.
Hey, 3
I got 4 dice.
successes.
Right on. Okay, so it looks like nobody failed. It looks
1,
like
2.
Calidus got a complicated success. Oh wait, hold on. 2 distress for Solus. Oh yeah, but you got those 2 6s. So yeah, so it looks like, goddamn, you all have psychology?
I
do, yeah.
don't.
It looks like I got 2 successes. Yeah.
You're the one
I
that
got
doesn't.
3.
Oh no, what
Okay.
happened to? There it is. Okay. All's well
Okay,
now.
so for the 3 of you who got regular successes, they're arguing. There is they're trying to hide it from you. They're trying to play it off as drunken antics, but you can tell that there is an actual tension between them. Though you can't hear what they're saying, the 3 of them are engaged in a very tense discussion. Calidus, you also notice this. This is definitely an argument that is happening. But you also notice that there are no less than 4 people at different tables that keep glancing over at this table. And you cannot tell if they are looking at these 3 men or if they are looking directly at Sempronii Priscus. But every time you look over to catch their eyes, they do this.
As they should be doing anyway.
Avert your gaze, plebs.
That's it.
I'm going to mention like to the 3 of them, I guess, while they're chatting. We seem to have drawn quite a bit of attention. Is there someplace less public we can further discuss this?
He'll kind of look around. The first thing he'll do is look at Sempronii Priscus because he does not know who you are. So he'll look at her like questioningly, like, is he okay to talk?
Yes. Pardon my bodyguard. He has always been so very concerned over my well-being, even of all things while I was at the temple. Now that I am no longer of the temple, he has become a little more outspoken with his worries. But he speaks in my good interest, so...
He'd be a terrible bodyguard if he didn't. And he sort of motions, and 2 more men come out, and sort of, these men are clearly armed. You can see Pugio beneath their tunics. They're hiding them, but not really. It's sort of a gentleman's hiding, where it's like, wink, wink, we're hiding, so we're being polite, but everybody knows that these guys are killers. And they will sort of escort everybody to another room that is got just 1 private table in it, and a full decanter of wine and several loaves of bread. And he will motion for everyone to sit, and he will say, I do apologize. We tend to keep business out front until it gets to this stage. We like the notoriety, if you catch my drift.
Yes, of course. However, it appears that our situation in particular requires a sort of subtlety about things.
It does and it doesn't. The truth of the matter is that once you leave Rome, the prescription is, for all intents and purposes, met. And before we go any further in this process, it's important for my colleagues that you understand. We are willing to help you leave Rome. We are not willing to protect your belongings, to control your state. We will get you alive somewhere else. And Sulla will raid your coffers and destroy your legacy. There's nothing we can do to stop that.
I quite like to think that once the prescription happened, our legacy was in fact doomed from the start. So Rest assured, I have already come to terms with that, better alive than anything else.
Well, in that case, generally the way that this happens is we have certain dispensations. The glorious and magnanimous Dictator, Sulla, turns a blind eye because we are getting you out of the city, and he is free to take what you can't carry with you.
And thus giving him what he wants.
But because of that, you can't carry much with you. So we can't load the ship up with all of your worldly belongings. You can bring a small chest, no larger than what would be required on a normal voyage. Is that agreeable to you? And your people?
Would we be permitted to return to our estate in order to get these?
Lady Frisco,
you mean-
that would be a very bad idea.
I'm nodding along to Lucius here.
As long as you pay us before you leave, you're allowed to do whatever you like. But understand that we're not coming for you.
I see.
believe
So
it is
perhaps,
wiser we leave from here.
yes, I happen to agree.
In that case, the only matter to cover is cost.
Well, the only people that I require passage for are in my company.
Does that mean, I don't mean to pry, but Sempronii Major won't be accompanying you?
We have not,
Unfortunately, no.
no, we have not heard news of our mother since last evening.
She's safe.
That is, I'm sure that
Yeah.
she is. I'm sure that she is.
She's a smart woman, always has been.
I agree with you unreservedly on that point. Well, that said, of course, we require coin. Coin is for passage on the ship and for your board and for any of the various needs that may arise while you are in the middle of your journey. But coin is not all we require. As to the point of financial remuneration, let's say, would you guys remind me again how much you have before I go and make this price? Because I just forgot.
So fun story. I can't find my notes from when you told me how much I had.
I
Callum,
thought
do you have yours?
I have 1,500 denarii.
1,500 denarii. I think I gave you 1,500. I gave, what did I give you, Quillis?
100.
100. And I think Solus probably also had 100.
I had 250, but then I spent one of them.
Okay. And
On
Sempronii
food you
Priscus,
didn't even
then
get to enjoy.
we're going to say that you have 750.
Cool. I will now put that in a place it can't get lost.
So he is going to say, he's going to sort of look at each of you and you'll hear him, like he's not trying to hide what he's saying anymore, and he'll lean over to one of his compatriots and he'll say, the large one is going to require quite a bit in sustenance during the voyage. And you see that he's over there sort of with a stick in the dirt doing some figures real quick. After a few moments, he looks back to you and he says, I think that to transport 4 of you and your gear, and to do so as quietly as possible, at least until you've left Roman waters, we could make that happen for 2,500 denarii.
Let me see here. I would like to negotiate that down a little bit here.
Please do.
Oh,
All right.
I've been sitting here very quietly on the edge of these conversations for a while. Do I know these people?
Take a D4 and roll it, and on anything other than a 1, yes, you know them. And tell me if it's a 4.
All right, KW. Clear that. 1d4. Take a roll. 2.
Yeah, you don't like know them super well, but you've definitely bumped elbows before.
Okay, well, I'll sit and watch. That's
Okay.
just one to me.
I say I understand the need for quiet and everything else, but I will say that none of us will be gathering anything further, and we are only taking what we are carrying on us. Plus, Sempronii, actually, I guess I would call her Domina if I'm pretending to be. Yeah. Domina is obviously does not deserve to be in such a situation as I would say we could get away with 2,000 denarii, much easier. And then,
Okay, before we make these rolls, I do want to point out that both Sempria Prisca and Lucius Sempronius Calidus, you have been granted a solace trigger by chat. So
Thanks, chat.
if you guys want to redeem those before you make any more rolls, please do.
Yes.
I'm not going to, because I'm going to let myself roll over.
Oh, good man. I like that. Just remember that you've got the option. So
charisma manipulation.
Charisma manipulation, and you will be going against my charisma and manipulation.
Oof, no 4s.
That's a
Good
1.
try.
That's a 0.
Okay, so the way that we're going to do this, since I also got a 0.
I got a 1. No, I got 1.
Oh, you got 1. You got 1. Okay, cool. You. So he sort of looks at his folks for a minute. So 2,000. I mean, it's doable, but it is what we call invoice. Basically, we would make nothing monetarily on this transaction. That's not to say that we're unwilling to allow it.
And the blessings of the gods for allowing someone in their favor to escape unharmed. That has no price we can have here on Earth.
And certainly the blessing of the gods is of the utmost of importance to us, or we wouldn't be doing this work that we're doing. That said, we have to understand that if we're going to be asked to work for break-even prices, then there has to be something that sweetens this deal for us, because we're extending our necks quite a ways onto the block for this. We're only being allowed to do this because we have to now tithe the people. I'm sure you understand how the system works. So
I do. So do you have a could you procure I guess I need something like a parchment and quill, or what would we be using here?
So they would have they would have etched things into clay tablets.
That's right.
Or lead if things are bad.
Yeah, so I can give you the location of some rather expensive items hidden away in the estate that we will not be able to return to. It will take some work, but you'll make much more than what 2,500 denarii would have given you.
Chrysogonus's troops are already combing your estate. It would be suicide for my men to go in there.
There's an entrance not known to them.
I think there is an entrance that wasn't known to them. I feel certain that it is now. That said,
I also lit it on fire.
Oh yeah, but look, I was bluffing.
that said, we want you, good, upstanding citizens of Rome, to flee. We want you to leave this city so that you can come back when this is all said and done and rebuild your legacy. That is profitable for us, because were you to come back and rebuild your legacy, you would never forget Cornelius Beta and the things that he has done for you. Obviously. But we need a little something more to make sure that it is worth the risk that we're taking. So here is what we propose. The 2,000 denarii and the moment that your feet hit the tiles of that harbor, we need to have the right to sell you out. You'll have time to get on board the ship, but we will have the political capital gained by telling Chrysogonus's men where you are. And I need to know precisely who will be traveling with you to make it worth my time.
And you can guarantee from this endeavor that we will make it to Athens still, even as this.
Once the ship is underway, I have yet to see. The truth of the matter is that you're prescribed. Nobody cares if you live or die. Nobody in that palace cares if you live or die. They want your wealth. You are irrelevant to them. You don't have a legion. You have no way to stop them. So the moment you leave, you have functionally abandoned Rome and abandoned your wealth. Your wealth is what they want. But it looks good for my people if we're able to say we know a secret, and the secret is where Sempronii Prisca and her cohort have gone. Now, I'm a very honest man. I'm not going to sell you out without first, because remember, when you return and rebuild your legacy, I'm still going to want that favor. So I'm not going to sell you out without your permission, but I am going to sell you out.
Well, better the devil you know. All right.
There's no reason that they would come after you, right? There's nothing that you've done that makes this worse than a normal prescription, right?
They're Could you give us a moment alone?
Certainly. I believe it's time to refill my wine. Gentlemen.
Yeah.
And
I need a drink.
They all leave the room laughing and cavorting.
Okay, that's a very good idea, actually. If you'll excuse me, I probably had a little too much wine. I'm just going to go and relieve myself.
Ooh, he's going to go do something
Sneaky.
All right, so why don't we do this? I'm going to leave you guys to ruminate about what you're about to talk about. And since Quillis has been so quiet this whole time, let's break for a second to see what Quillis is going to do. Quillis, what are you doing?
Okay. Obviously, Cornelius Beta and his friend leave the room first. I excuse myself, go off, and I actually do go and take a leak. Appearances and all that. And then as I return to the main foyer, is the door to the room, the private chamber closed? Obviously,
Yes.
I will be closed behind me. I'm going to look for Cornelius Beta.
He is sitting at one of the tables talking to the two men.
I will wander over. Cornelius, it's been a while.
Ah, Lucius Cornelius Sulla, I believe.
Indeed. This your deal doesn't work.
Huh.
Chris
Tell me what.
Aquinas knows where they are.
He knows that they're here.
Indeed. You'll give them safe passage for 2,000 denarii, and you will not sell them out. Because if you do, I will assure you, Chrysogonus will see your daughter and your wife dead by the morning.
Is it common knowledge among the speculators that you serve or that you used to at least serve Chrysogonus?
Well, now for all intents and purposes, I do. I've not really penned a resignation letter.
That's true. That's true. That's really intriguing. I like that a lot. You're playing on what they may or may not know about your allegiances. That's do this. Roll for me a charisma and manipulation, and you can upgrade that with psychology. I'll allow that. Yeah, for sure. And I'm going to roll his not very solid roll to see if you're lying. He's great at lying. He's not necessarily great at
5. Manipulation. I can talk about those to D8s. 1, 2, 3.
By the way, Lewis, before you roll, I think someone gave you bonus D8s.
Bonus D8s. So does that upgrade all my dice to D8s?
I believe.
Yeah, the way that tends to work, if they've given you D8s in chat and you apply it to a roll where you already have the skill upgrade, I allow it to do the entire dice pool.
Okay,
Yep.
so that's a lot of D8s then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 successes.
Okay, that's a phenomenal. Or I'm sorry, it's not a phenomenal because he got 2, but it's still a success. So he doesn't appear to be intimidated, but he does appear to be he seems like the kind of guy who enjoys a good game, especially when it looks like he might not be just steamrolling somebody. So he kind of nods at you, and there's an appreciation in his face.
Let's just say, Cornelius, there's more play here than, shall we say, your life is worth and the life of your children.
Okay. I see. I do. I see what you're doing. And
this needs to play out.
I'll allow it to play out. But I still can't do it for just 2,000 denarii. So here is my counter offer. My curiosity is as valuable to me as any bauble that I have ever placed upon a shelf. And it burns in me to know what is wrapped in linen in that man's arm. Tell me what it is. You have my word among thieves, that I won't say anything until you're well out of Roman water.
Something that a gentleman that we both, respect. I can't really tell exactly what it is, because, shall I say, I'm not really sure myself as yet, hence why this needs to play out. But it is of value, not to you, to other people, and people with far more influence than yourself or I. We are just, after all, pawns in this game. But, shall we say, my friend, I'm a pawn with significantly more influence than yourself.
I don't know that that's true. But my influence doesn't tend to go around cutting people's heads off. So we'll say we have different kinds of influence.
That's true.
Here's the investment I'm willing to make. 2,000 denarii to get you and your compatriots to Athens. But once there, once you have set foot on the soil of Athens, there's a man that you will visit for me. You will take this item to him. He doesn't need to keep it. Take the item to him so that he may examine it and determine what it is. Once he's done that, you have my word, it will be returned to you. Nothing will ever be spoken outside of this small group of people about what it is. If you fail to do this, if you come to Athens and do not meet your side of this bargain, let's just say we'll find out exactly how far my influence extends. Is that agreeable?
That's agreeable. Where is this object? Or is he referring to the what? Or is he referring
He's referring to the Vox Magica.
Okay. And this gentleman's name?
This gentleman's name is appropriate Greek man's name that I just made up. I'll get it to you in a minute.
Okay.
I really should have I have so many sticky notes on my monitor. I don't have a sticky note for just Greek names.
Random Joe Schmo number 3.
Jolicus Schmoicus. Ancient.
As long as he's not called Lucius.
His name is Lucius.
Too many.
His name is Petra. Petre. Petra.
Okay. Petra
And he
what?
gives you a just Petra. You'll know him when you see him. And he gives you a location in Athens, a building to go to, and tells you you'll know exactly who you're looking for.
Yep. Very well. Give me a little while to
Of course.
discuss with my friends before you return.
Of course. Back to the room. Lucius Cornelius comes back and to discuss this with you all.
Adjusting my toga as I come through the door. Apologies for taking so long. Had a movement. So, where were we?
Okay, so I guess what's on the table is them selling us out. I don't necessarily like the idea of that because we could wind up
Very dead. Very, very dead.
Attempting to swim to Athens.
right, and putting the captain and his crew in the crosshairs as well. Seems like a lot of needless collateral damage.
I don't know. I thought you were relatively convincing, Master Colors. Why don't you try again?
Okay.
No harm in just attempting to reassert your offer. 2,000 denarii seems reasonably fair to me. If you can convince him that, shall we say, he selling the political coinage, as he was referring to, isn't really of any worth if you're not coming back. Just explain to him that Rome is, shall we say, no longer in your blood. If you can convince him of that, then
I'm gonna toss my
he
coins
has
on
no.
the table and tell Sempronii to add 500 to that.
I do so.
Okay.
Because ultimately, at the end of the day, like I said, he's hedging his bets on the grounds of, well, if you return, if you can convince him that, well, you're not going to return, then politically, you're of no value to anyone.
That's right. I'm politically and monetarily We're monetarily valuable. Of course, he does not know where I actually am either. I was considering telling him where to find me elsewhere in the city as a way to sell out, but I'm not sure if that will work. And as soon as he finds out that he's been lied to, he's going to turn against us.
Brother, perhaps it was too much the work of women in some regards for the household. But we don't piss off the merchant types. Their networks far outrange our own, and I would like to stay alive for longer than a week once we get to Athens.
Yes, which is why I don't want them to sell us out.
And your idea would do just that as well. Anyway, and it would maybe
Well,
only give
we
us a
didn't
few
have to
days
tell
leeway.
them we were going to Athens.
We did, in fact, if we wanted to make sure that we got here, and also our family is prescribed. Where else would we be going?
To the boat that they
Nisha?
had no clue about. They didn't know we were going to Athens.
This is the man that Maxima sent to us to.
The door opens and the three men re-enter. And Cornelius Beta has a big grin on his face and another jug of wine, which he raucously sits upon the table. And he says, "Friends gathered this evening in our holy temple of worship." And then he thinks about it for a second. He says, "My dearest Sempronii Prisca Minor, I do apologize for my irreverence."
I wave my hand in amusement. Do go on.
What have we decided?
It is unfortunate, but we cannot allow you to sell us out. We have frankly, we have no interest in returning to Rome at any point. Or what we find is that who knows what our lovely leader will be up to next with our fair
Well,
Rome.
I'm very sad to hear that, and I only offer you this. Though he be blessed by the gods themselves, and clearly our glorious Dictator is a wonderful first citizen, a first among equals, if you will, but he can't live forever. So I do hope that young and influential Romans such as yourselves will return once the current madness has passed. But I digress. Fine. We are very invested, my colleagues and I, in seeing how this little game plays out. We'll do the passage for cost alone, with two minor caveats. The first being that wherever the family may find itself, they never forget the grace and honor of Cornelius Beta, and as their fortunes rise, so too does the water surrounding my own small vessel.
Rising tides do raise all boats.
That is what I've heard, and as a master of boats, it seems to be true. The second, where is your brother?
He thought it wisest to find other ways out of the city. It's,
As long as we're clear, because I don't see him, that the protections extended by my people to Sempronii Prisca and her colleagues do not extend beyond this room. Your brothers, let's just say Chrysogonus's distaste with your brothers of a more personal nature. As long as we understand these two caveats, I think we can agree.
Fine. Seems my brother saw fit to abandon me to my fate anyway.
He is a soldier, and you know how those soldiers can be.
I do, unfortunately. It has changed him so. But, and she raises her glass, to a solid partnership. For now.
To a solid partnership into perpetuity, my dear.
Ah, yes, of course.
And
Unshul.
drinks are spread around, and you guys are treated to a decent meal, not the best meal in the world. It's an upscale brothel, but it is still a brothel. And after you've eaten and drank as much as you want to, real quick, does anybody get shit-faced?
No.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
I
I'll
am
get
also
alone.
not eating a ton of this food because I have witnessed, a strip club buffet, and it's just not something I'm interested in.
Right, and to a certain extent also, I imagine anxiety makes it a little hard to eat right now. So after an appropriate amount of time
I'll take like
has
no
passed,
thank you portions of stuff. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, I interrupted. I'll take like
And
no
the
thank
food
you
is-
portions of stuff and like have like drink enough to get like a small blush on my cheeks, but otherwise that's it.
Solus generally doesn't drink,
um,
except maybe like heavily watered wine, perhaps.
so there is no such thing as not drinking, because if you drink water without wine in it, you will become violently ill.
Yeah.
Wine actually largely exists to kill the pathogens in water, but there are, because in ancient Rome, when you bought an amphora of wine, it was syrup. It was not the final product. You mixed it with wine at your own table to determine how thick or how thin you wanted it. So when they bring you the amphora, you get to determine. So you're saying that you water it very heavily.
Oh yes,
And
that's
everybody can see that. That's actually, it's considered a virtue that Solus is drinking very little of the alcohol. Is anybody drinking just straight syrup?
Odds no.
Straight
Okay.
what?
Just the syrup.
Straight
Is anybody
syrup.
not diluting their wine?
No,
Oh,
I'm not.
I can't imagine that would taste that great.
It is an enormous social faux pas as well. But you guys, not to say that there aren't people right outside this room doing it, but it is a huge social faux pas. Okay, so after some time has passed, Cornelius Beta will stand and he will extend his arms to you, and he will say, I am so unbelievably thrilled that someone so modest as myself might get the opportunity to work with someone as esteemed as you, my domina. I can only thank you for your business. If you'll accompany my men, they will begin the affairs.
Of course. And I'll follow his men. I have
Yeah,
no reason
they-
not to.
Does anybody do anything else before we move to the next scene?
Solus actually will see if he can find some sort of like paper or writing utensil or something. He wants to write some things down, just notes and observations and thoughts.
It's very hard to write in this time period.
Yeah.
Papyrus does exist, but it comes from China, and it is way more
Okay.
expensive than you have the money for.
Gotcha.
If you write anything, it is going to be most likely on a clay tablet, which you don't really have access to right now.
Carryable.
Yeah.
Dang,
so-
okay. I'm suddenly realizing my Solus trigger is very terrible.
Yeah, I know you chose it. That said, you can still meet the terms of your solace trigger by you can basically create stories in your head that you'll remember. I'm still going to allow you to journal that way. It's just sort of taking a moment in quiet reflection to collect your thoughts.
It's basically kind of the function of the journal is what he's doing here. He's just trying to sit and think and just process to have put his thoughts into order as best he can.
Okay, so go ahead and you may make a solace roll. Does anybody else want to take a moment to, as this is progressing, engage in their solace trigger?
I'm not really in a position for that. Yeah.
Me
Yeah,
neither
nah.
at the moment.
I'm gonna roll
Okay.
over.
Oh wow.
Unless there's somewhere private that I can, somewhere quiet and private that I can go and enjoy a glass of wine on my own.
I'll give everybody what they need to do a solace roll now. So as you guys are waiting, you'll be sheltered off in a little extra area that's somewhat private, where if you have a solace trigger that you want to engage in, you can.
Oh, okay,
No.
then yes.
For one solace roll.
Yeah, Sempronii is gonna pray.
What do we roll for that?
Roll
It is-
all of the distress dice that you currently have.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And then every one of them that comes up a 4, you remove a minute, and then +1. You automatically remove 1 minute, but
Yeah.
for every 4 you roll out of that, you get another minute taken off.
Oh,
What happens if you
God,
what
nice
happens if you
roll.
roll a 1?
Ones actually don't matter on this roll.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't take away.
I'll
Wow.
remove it.
That was a very good roll. So you automatically remove 1. So Quillis, you remove 3 minutes. Solus, you remove 2. And it looked like Sempronii Priscus removed 1.
Okay, so how many distress dice do I get for 6 minutes?
3.
Okay, I lose a distress dice.
Yep.
Sweet. Down to 3.
Okay, so after you've had some time to sit in reflection and wait, the 2 men come back to the room, and when they come back, they're not dressed in tunics anymore and togas. These 2 men are dressed in hamata. They are dressed in the regalia of the Legion, and they don't have their primary weapons. You're not allowed to carry your primary weapons inside of Rome. So they just have pugio, which are just daggers. They don't have gladii, they don't have spears, they just have little daggers. And their tunics underneath their hamata do not bear Legion colors. They bear a symbol. In this case, it is a scorpion, which you know to be, both of the speculators know is a symbol of sort of underground gladiatorial society. Like, these guys are probably gladiators. And, you know, now that you sort of see them in this better fitting clothing and you see the size of their arms and you start to realize how tall they are, these guys are definitely gladiators. And they sort of beckon you out, and the biggest one says to Sempronii Priscus, actually, I'm sorry, he says to Calidus. Calidus was identified as the bodyguard. He says, Dominus, it would be best at this point. We have 2 options. I'm going to leave it up to you. We can try to get to the harbor above ground. If we do that, it is a matter of ensuring discretion on our part to forestall any of your enemies noticing you on the way. Alternately, we can take the sewers. We have the route mapped out. We can go directly there. It's not the most pleasant of routes, but it's not impassable or even difficult. I just know that sometimes those of noble bearing do not wish to demean themselves in that way. I would ask you, and then by the leave of your domina, to decide which route would be best.
Sewers are probably going to be the safest.
And I happen to agree. There is nothing better than being alive, gentlemen. Nothing better.
Excellent. And we shall take the sewers. It is a more direct route. It is faster. There are threats in the sewers that we should be prepared for. And he kind of looks at each of you and remind me again how you are armed.
I'm not at all. I have absolutely no weapon around me whatsoever.
I have a gladius and a pugio. and I'm wearing Lorica musculata, which of course is concealed by my glimmer guys right now. But
Okay, so they wouldn't see any of that. They would see an old unarmed man.
they would, yeah, they actually see an old unarmed man.
Solus, what weaponry and armor are you bearing right now?
I believe I have the Lorca Hamata. That I don't know if we're going to the sewers, I'm not going to worry about like trying to conceal it or put it somewhere to be hidden. But I have the Lorca Hamata, and I also have a Pugia, though I don't typically draw it.
Okay. And Sempronii Priscus, I assume, is not armed at all.
Nope, not a bit.
Okay. So they'll sort of look at you guys. They'll see the one guy with weaponry, and even then, it's only a Pugio. And they'll sort of whisper amongst each other for a couple of moments, and you'll see them sliding quietly and hiding as well as they can. A couple of gladii, like that they're not supposed to be carrying, but they're just like, we're going to the fucking sewers. We're gonna have a gladius when we go down there. And at that moment, like as you guys approach the mouth of the sewer, and it's not like a sewer cap like we have in a city today. There is an area where you go down into an aquifer via a set of stairs, and you are still underground in these large tunnels. They're actually large enough that you can walk, and they're sort of they're semicircular, and there's a channel cut into the center, and it's only about you guys just some of the water is clear. It's not all like a modern sewer. A lot of it is human offal, but a lot of it isn't. A lot of it is just rainwater. And you can see that it's about ankle deep. And there is a lot of terrible stuff down here. And they're not great smells down here. And it's dark. And it's not wonderful. And actually, the more your eyes adjust to the dark, there's at least one body in that water. And that's for my two speculators. Of course there's a body in the water. Where the fuck else are you going to dump dead bodies in Rome? For everybody else, like, oh God, what's going to happen down here? And right at this moment, I would like to go ahead and say, Izzy, can we take our break now? Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for letting us go and refill our drinks and unrefill our bodies. We're back together. We've just entered the sewers. And I have, for reasons that will become, I think, immediately apparent, taken down everybody's trauma trigger and put them on sticky notes right in my line of sight. So, you issue out of the small vomitorium at the entrance to the sewers, which is just a lobby, by the way. And you enter the sewers proper. The very first thing is that it is. Go ahead.
Before we do that,
okay.
I wanted to know if I could use my sphere to try to send a message to my daughter Livia, who should be at my my house practice area.
You can, but it is somewhat. It is a risk. It is a gamble to do this because the only way for you to do this is to approach a legionnaire who you happen to recognize and ask him to send a message. And there are legionnaires all over the place. They're not in they're not in their gear, but you know them. And I'll say that you have a golden opportunity to approach a legionnaire at some point and send this message, but you aren't 100% sure of his loyalty.
Right.
Now, as a quick point of order on this, does Sullus know what my role for the house is? What I actually did, apart from being the a servant within the house, not a servant, but a free man and servant within the house. Is he actually aware of what I did for Calidus and his family?
I would say that Solus, you're not fully aware of what Quillis does, but you know that he's not just a servant of the house. You understand that he does things in the dark. That's about as deep as deep goes.
Okay.
I'll probably turn to Quillis on. Excuse me, Quillis. Wondering if you might do an old man a favor. Or this, or at least tell me how I got to go about it. You see, my daughter, Livia, she helps me out my practice, you see, and I'm dreadfully worried about her being left here without me. I know I'm going to have to leave town, but wouldn't want her to not be notified what's happened to me.
No, indeed. Sulla, do you wish to get her a message?
Oh yeah, just to let her know that I'm having to leave the city for a while.
I'm sure that could be arranged.
Yes.
As discreetly as possible, I assume.
Oh yes, of course. I don't want to put anyone on our trail. That would that'd probably be a very big counterproductive effort, I suppose. But I don't want the poor girl to worry.
What would the message be? Obviously, it would have to be something delivered by word of mouth. We don't really want anything written down. Obviously, we don't have the implements for it.
She knows her letters. I mean, if someone could scratch something in, that'd probably be sufficient.
That's one of the problems, I'm afraid, Sulla. Anything we write down can be easily intercepted. So a simple missive that could be delivered orally would probably be safer.
Okay, I suppose it would prove divine. It's just, I'm just worried if she's not around, and if she's maybe gone on an errand or something that he couldn't find her, she wouldn't know. But I suppose they'll probably get it to her. No, I shouldn't worry too much about that. Just something simple. Just that I'm going to be tending to patients elsewhere, tending to patients for an extended period of time, away from home.
Sure. So just a simple excuse for your absence for a while.
Yes.
Maybe you and Master Calidus have been recalled to the front somewhere to ply your services.
It could be that. Yes, that could work.
Yeah, indeed. I'm sure we can get a message to it. I assume I know where Sulla lives.
Yeah, you know where he is. Are you a client of Calidus Solus, or are you just you're a friend, or what?
Solus, from what I understand, I was a medicus. I don't remember if it was like specifically working with Ormanus or with. I think it was working with Calidus or his.
You were
his
in
regiment.
You were in my regiment when I was in.
Yeah, that's right. And
okay, so you would most likely be his client, and he is your patron.
Yeah.
Quillis, you absolutely know where Solus's domus is.
Like I say, leave that with me, Quillis. I'm Quillis. Sulla. Well, at least I didn't call you Lucius. We shall get the message delivered, and I'll make sure that it's delivered discreetly, and that your daughter is assured that you'll be returning. I shall say, by what time of year is it at the moment?
What time of year is it? It is fall.
Okay, so say by spring.
I'll try to be back by spring. Yes.
Yes, sir. We'll let her know. If you'll excuse me, and I'll leave, and I'll head back. I'll leave Sulla behind, and I'll head up into the foyer area, and I'll find one of Cornelius Beta's men, and inform him that the message needs to be delivered.
Okay, so what I'll have you do then, I'm going to ask you to make a roll using your, we're going to call it charisma and manipulation, and you may upgrade it using negotiation. And for every, let's say for every 5 denarii that you're willing to attach to this message, you can add another D8 to that roll.
Okay, so charisma plus manipulation. I can't upgrade anything, but I will pay the man 20 denarii for his discretion. Okay, this is the world I live in. So, 1, 2, 3. And for every 5?
For every 5, you get an additional D8 to add to the
Okay,
roll.
so I'll pay him 20 denarii, which is quite a lot of money, but we're in a sticky wicket at the moment, and I have 3 distress dice. 1, 2, 3. So that would be Christ 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So you actually barely beat him or beat the eyes that are looking for you. So it is
1,
so good that you spent
2,
that
3,
money.
4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So you ended up with 2 net hits because I actually also got 4. But you pay the proper amount so that you feel confident that this message is going to get where it is supposed to go without any more trouble.
Okay. And
you guys go down to the sewers.
I'll return to Sulis and tell him that his message will be delivered on the morning.
Oh, thank goodness. Yes. Well, I'm glad she might be a little bit worried when I don't come home tonight, but I'm sure she'll be fine. Thank you. That's my heart.
You're welcome.
And you guys emerge into the sewers, and it is, in modern media, there's this sort of misconception that the sewers of Rome would have had torches in them. No, they wouldn't. That's nonsense. Why would they? There are torches, but they're not lit. They're only there for when people need to repair things in the sewers. And people don't repair things in the sewers at midnight. So it's pitch black dark, except, I'm not hitting you yet, except for the torches that are being carried by the 2 gladiators that are accompanying you. But as you come down into this area, the first thing that you see is that you sort of assumed, because you're, except for the speculators have probably been in the sewers before and have seen it before. But for people who haven't, you sort of assume that the sewers would be kind of a big tube, and it is not. It is a network of lines that stretch in various directions, and none of them are straight. They're all, it's a labyrinth. You're moving through a labyrinth. I would like, as you guys sort of move forward into this darkness, I would like everybody to make a check using their acumen and their, we're going to call this vigilance, acumen and vigilance, that they can upgrade with larceny to see if they spot something that the gladiators are looking at.
Vigilance.
Let's see.
Okay, so I can upgrade my vigilance to D8s.
Hey.
6.
Oh god, this is gonna be terrible.
3.
That's a 0. Okay.
0's not so bad.
That's a 1.
All right, so we have 1 complicated success. I'm not going to count all that up. Do we have any failures, any catastrophic failures?
Doesn't look like it.
So for everybody who got a regular success, I don't see any phenomenal successes. Oh, wait, I might. 1, 2.
Yeah, I got
3,
2.
4. Solus got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, minus 1, 4. That is a phenomenal success.
Nice.
So for common successes, which are going to be Sempronius Priscus and Publius Sempronius, you guys will immediately spot that the gladiators are looking for a motif among the graffiti down here that is repeated. Most of the graffiti down here is like dicks and Marcus Veratus was here, and sort of at the time wasn't old school. It was sort of fresh and new graffiti, which we now consider to be the sort of platonic form of graffiti. It's all over the place down here. Lots of dicks. And in fact, it is a phallus that is drawn in a very certain way that you start to see repeated. And every time you've seen that sign, the gladiators have gone that way. So you're being guided by dicks is what I'm saying.
Fantastic.
Are there any People's Judean front tags in the sewers?
Are there any what now?
People's Judean's front tags in the sewers.
No, but there are Judea's People's Fronts tags, though.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So don't question me about my Monty Python knowledge. We can go rounds. Okay, so so there for our phenomenal success, there is about the fourth time you take this turn. The gladiators seem very confident when they make these movements, when they decide which path to go down based on this iconography. It's very clear to you that they don't actually know where they're going. They are relying on this symbol. It is also clear to you that about the fourth turn that you make, the sort of smaller, quiet gladiator starts to get nervous. It's as if he is sensing something that you're not sensing. He's seeing or smelling something, and his battle instincts are starting to alert him. He's got his hand on his gladius. He is sort of jumping at every shadow. You see that. For my complicated success, again, you see that they are glancing up at the graffiti every time they take a turn. You're not really sure which piece of graffiti that they're looking at. There's a lot of them. Some of them are repeat, some of them don't. But more specifically, you're really trying hard to figure out who's my complicated success, Calidus?
Yeah, I believe that was
Yeah.
it.
So Calidus, you are so caught up in trying to figure out what symbol they're actually looking at that you're looking at that and not where your feet are. And there is a moment where you just misjudge and you step directly into this muck that has built up along the side of this central channel. And your foot goes all the way to your knee in this shit. And it is shit, or not all shit. Some of it is just fat that has been poured into the sewer. Some of it is leaves. So it's just whatever grotesquerie has been flushed down the street drains of Rome, and you are knee deep in it. And you feel something wrap around your foot. You feel something long and cylindrical and very, very warm wrap all the way around your foot and start to snake up your leg.
It's so, that's so gross, but awesome.
What'd you say?
I said that's so gross, but awesome.
How's it going?
Oh, I am going to. God, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to pull my foot away as quickly as possible.
Outstanding. As you pull your foot away, what I would like for everybody else sees him immediately pull his foot free. Everybody else sees him sort of look down at his boot in some mixture of disgust and dismay. Gavin, please make a check. I would like you to make this check using your resilience plus metal.
Mm-hmm.
You may upgrade this if you have centering.
Nope, I don't have centering. Yeah, that's a catastrophic failure. Oh wait.
Okay,
That's a 0.
that's
Okay, it's a
0. Unfortunately,
complicated
I
success.
did get 2.
Well, yeah.
So, you try to pull your foot free, and for a second it won't come free, and then you just give it everything you've got, and you yank it as hard as you can, and you pull your foot out, and you're like, oh, thank God. And you go to put it down, and your first thought is, I've lost my boot. The more specific realization, though, is that it's not your boot that is missing. It's everything that is a part of your leg below your knee is gone.
Oh!
And what is there instead is a ragged stump of bone and blood. Give me, go ahead and take a minute, because the smell is undeniable. You smell that coppery scent. It fills your nostrils as you incidentally commit your entire weight to leaning on a foot that isn't there.
Oh, God. I'm going to shout out in pain and surprise.
Do you want to try to stop yourself from falling into the water, or are you just going to fall into the water?
Absolutely. Yes, I'm going to
Okay.
stop myself from falling in the water.
Go ahead and make a roll using your coordination and your, let's call this one reaction. You can upgrade with athletics.
Coordination of what? Reaction?
Athletic. Reaction, yeah, with athletics.
Okay, well then. That is -4.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh,
Things are going
no.
so great for me right now.
Oh
So
boy.
Oh,
you
no.
can't stop yourself from falling into the water. Everybody sees him look down at his boot. Still, he's sort of looking at his boot like, what the hell? And then he just tenses like a board and falls face first into the water. Gavin, your perception of, Calidus, your perception of this is you fall face forward into the water. And as your face hits the water, there's the briefest moment where you encounter the coolness and the stillness. And then you just keep rotating at full gravitational force. So you don't slow down upon hitting the water. You just hit it and rotate to a moment where you're standing completely upside down in the darkness, and then it slowly rights itself. And you're completely alone, standing in the darkness. There's nobody with you. You can vaguely see through the moonlight reflecting through the sewer grates. You can vaguely see the walls of this place that you have found yourself utterly alone. Now, I'm going to pause you for a moment, and I'm going to ask everybody else, how are you reacting to him falling face first into the water?
Do I see anything more with my phenomenal success, or just?
Nope, because your phenomenal success doesn't allow you to see the supernatural unless you've activated dusk
No,
sight.
yeah, I don't have that. So my reaction, honestly, is I worked with him. I'm going to try to help see if I can possibly fish him out. Can I see him in the water? Or did he sink underneath?
So the water's only about ankle deep. He's not sunk underneath, but he is mouth, nose, face first.
Yeah, pull him out of that. Pull him out of that then.
So you reach down and yank him out of the water. I will ask you to just give me, let's call this a coordination and, I'm going to call it a coordination and toughness because of what you're trying to do. And you can upgrade it with athletics.
Cue surprised shout here.
Right, as a point of order, these sewers, I've been in them a few times. They're not very deep, are they?
No.
Okay, so the fact that he's disappeared into a sewer completely.
He hasn't. You guys can all see him.
Yeah, no, but okay, so we can see him. So he's only
Yeah.
so from our perspective, he's only just landed in the water. He's not like fully submerged.
Right.
Okay, fair enough. Then I'm not going to do anything.
I got 4 successes total.
That is a phenomenal. So you sort of weave through all of this bullshit and detritus that is in your way, and you turn that down, please. You weave through all this bullshit and detritus that is in your way, and you grab him and pull him up out of the water. In an almost autonomic way, his legs go underneath him. He's standing, but his eyes are completely vacant, and he's looking around as if he sees none of you. Solus, the one thing though is, for just a second when you did that, you did catch a reflection of yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, so go ahead and add a minute to your clock. Love you, boo.
It's okay. It's fine. I'm always worried about what else I might see there. Oh, my dear. Calidus, are you seeing something? What do you want to see here? I don't think he's wholly here. I think we need to keep moving, but I would probably have to push him along.
I'm going to look down. Does he actually? Can we all see the fact that he is now legless?
No, he's not legless.
Okay. So for us, he looks completely fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to bounce back over to Calidus. Calidus, you're holding yourself up against one wall as your left leg is missing below the knee. There's blood, there's darkness. You're entirely alone. There's only the sound of the rushing water. What are you doing?
I am going to try to regain my senses, but I'm going to shout, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to activate the thing, called Psychic Nexus. And I'm going to connect mentally with my entire crew and go, what the fuck is it? Like, where are you?
That is fucking rad. That is such a cool thing to do. Okay, that's cool. I'll tell you what I'm going to do.
I am now also only at 1 distress dice because I have rolled over.
Right on. Does that roll you to 6 or 7?
It rolls me to 6.
To 6, okay. So remember that you got your 6 points to spend. You roll over, and immediately everybody else here hears Calidus's voice inside your mind. And
worst
you
nightmare.
hear each other responding.
I'm right here in front of you, Calidus. Can you not see me?
That subconscious
saying-
thought, by the way,
Are you saying that
definitely
you see
slips
me?
out.
I do. I don't know if you see me.
No, I don't see anyone. And I'm missing a leg.
The news is that you're actually not.
Looks fine to me.
Do you remember the temple? Do you remember what we saw before we
Yes.
saw?
Yes.
Yes, you're seeing, but not seeing.
Again, I might have known it. I'm smelling too.
Oh, okay.
And feeling as well.
Well, then, if you can hear me, can you follow me?
That's not how it works. I can't follow you. I don't know your direction.
That's right. I don't see what you see.
I want you to go ahead, and because you've established a link to the outside world and you're able to sort of see through this nonsense, go ahead and make another acumen, and metal roll. And this time, go ahead and just upgrade all of your dice.
Yay. Acumen. Oh wait, you should be a D8 clear. So that's a 2. That's my metal is a 2. So one success.
Okay, so it takes a second, but because you can hear their thoughts, and you know that this cannot be real, because you've used Psychic Nexus before, you know how it works. Slowly, they begin to fade back in, and the light from the torches begins to fade back in, and your leg just, you watch it as bone and sinew and flesh and muscle regrow from the terrifying stump of your leg from before, back into you standing there. Your boot is covered in schmutz, but otherwise you're okay, and you're back in the world.
And Solus will pat you on the cheek once he sees your eyes kind of clearing. I was like, there you go. Nothing that bath won't clear up.
Oh, the quicker the better.
That's me else.
Brother mine, much as I love hearing your voice with my own ears, I do not like hearing it with my head. As useful as that is, do endeavor not to do that again.
You are
if don't
saying
have
this into
to.
my brain, right? You're not saying this out loud.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is worth noting that this Psychic Nexus lasts a scene, so it is up to him to decide when to end it.
Well,
Oh,
like
I'm
a lot
chill.
of things, you are going to have to get over it because this is the best way for us to communicate without letting them know more than they need to.
And just to be clear to everybody right now, everyone can communicate freely with each other telepathically because he is creating a nexus.
As usual, you must be right.
That's a great question, Fallbach. Fallbach from chat asks, did you include the gladiator?
Absolutely not.
Very good. Just to agree. So they're just standing there. It's important. I'm going to have everybody who would like to make a charisma, or let's make an intuition plus empathy roll real quick, and you can upgrade it with psychology.
Say again. I was looking up something in the
Intuition
book.
and empathy upgraded with psychology.
Stress die. Hey, we got a success.
I'm going to let you guys make your rolls, and I'm just going to tell you that for those of you who succeed, these gentlemen do not seem perturbed at all by what is happening. They seem like this is par for the course for them. If anybody gets a phenomenal success, let me know. But otherwise, these gentlemen just are like, yeah, this shit happens when we bring nobles into the sewers. And they give you a moment. 1, 2, 1, 2.
I got a phenomenal success. I spent 3 seconds
Okay.
to do so.
Vis-a-vis your phenomenal success, you can tell this is strictly professionalism. These guys are extremely fucking good at what they do. And therefore, they're very good at not registering on their face when they are personally terrified. But this isn't a situation where they're like, oh, this guy just fell into the thing and now he's got to say. They don't know what the fuck is going on. They think you're all lunatics and they want to be over with this as soon as they possibly can. But they're very good at hiding their emotions. So it seems to everybody else like they really know what's going on. But you're like, these dudes are about to shit bricks. We need to get out of here.
I will say the line about him being nothing that a good bath won't cure, it was said out loud.
Okay. Okay. And so after a moment, when they feel like you've appropriately, reacted, The bigger man will say, if we could continue, it might be best.
Yes, let us move forward as quickly as possible.
We appreciate your patience, gentlemen.
One of them, the smaller man, looks at you and with a just abject look of confusion on his face, and the bigger man says, "We are as patient as we are paid to be," and just continues, just goes down the. And so you guys continue following them, and now, Calidus, now that you've gone through this moment, you see now what they're looking at. And it becomes very clear after about the 5th time that they take another branch of this, that they're following that one symbol. And then, now that all of you have identified the symbol that they're following, you arrive at a branch that very clearly does not have one of those symbols. They're just all 7 or 8 of the various tunnels they might take do not have those symbols, and various parts of the wall have been broken or destroyed. So they're just sort of looking at each other. They haven't figured out yet that you have figured out what symbol they're following. So it's very clear to you guys that they're trying to figure out what to do next without letting you know that they're trying to figure out what to do next. How are you guys reacting to that?
I'm going to watch them carefully for a few moments, and then I'm going to start just walking over to the broken parts of the walls, just poking to see if I can start puzzling something out of it. See if I can find some trace of a mark, of the similar mark on one of the broken parts.
I'm going to say from a mundane perspective, it's just not possible.
Okay.
This stone has been beaten into powder.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, where do we go from here? Does this lead directly to the sea, perhaps?
When you say that, there's a moment where it's clear that they realize they've accidentally given up the ghost. And the smaller man spits and looks away in frustration. The bigger man, who is very clearly the socialite of the bunch, says, they could not have predicted which way we would go, so they destroyed them all. Our guess is as good as yours.
Well, like I said, were we going toward the sea?
The sea is where the harbor is, yes.
Are any of these routes have any more sea air than the others, or is it equally as full of effluvia?
Are you suggesting we follow your nose?
If we can't follow anything else, I fear splitting up would probably lead us quite far astray, as it were.
I'm going to take a deep breath, spend 2 minutes, and activate Panopticon.
That's brilliant. Right as you're doing that, the larger man says, with respect, Dominus, it all smells like shit to me. Quillis activates Panopticon. Oh shit. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Does Panopticon...
As we see stuff.
I've got to get to a point where I'm not having to look up the game that I wrote, but it's not going to happen tonight, I'm afraid.
James, once it's in the book, it's not our problem anymore.
That's right.
That's
Good
my,
point.
excuse me, that's my quote.
Right. Now, you taught us that, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay, so Panopticon. Ooh, oh, that's exactly what it does. Okay. So let's go ahead and have you roll. Oh, wow. Shit's about to get real. Let's go ahead and have you roll an Intuition vigilance, upgrade with investigation.
And I'm going to spend 6 seconds here, I think, to give myself some extra dice.
It's fair.
It'll take me back to, push me up to a minute. They give me, what's it? How many dice do I get for 6 seconds?
6 seconds is going to give you, you can either completely remove all the stress dice from your roll, or you can roll 2 additional D8.
I'll have to get 2 extra D8. Oh, that was pants. 1.
1 is good. So there are a couple of things that you see. I'm going to try to do this in the order of what is most alarming. The first thing that you see is pretty clearly you think the right way to go. The reason that you think it's the right way to go is because sort of as at the collapsed, or at the nexus of all the collapsed debris, one of these areas has a lot more collapsed debris to it. One of these areas, extra attention was paid to destroying all of the graffiti around it. And you just spot that. That was just a mundanely done thing, and you just immediately put that together in your head. Like, they spent extra time destroying this graffiti, this is the right way. The next thing that you spot is the mournful consort has been keeping tabs with you, or has been keeping pace with you the whole time. She's there, she's sort of in the darkness. You can see her mostly through the way her eyes are moving, but every now and again she'll step enough into the torchlight that you can make her out. The mournful consort was the one who is continuously ripping her skin off. So you can see her in the darkness just peeling away at her skin. As it continues, it'll immediately heal and she'll peel it off again. And she's staring at you. And as you sort of relive the moment of having to fight her last night, you look that way, and the rageful consort is hiding amongst, or she's actually stuck to the ceiling of one of the tunnels. And you can see her again because of her 4 arms and the different weaponry that she's wielding. But again, maintaining a distance from you until you turn all the way around and you realize they're not maintaining a distance from you. They're maintaining a distance from the thing behind you down the tunnel that you're trying to go down. Down that way, there is something. You can't really see it, but you can feel it. There is a warmth and there is a vibration in the earth beneath your feet down that way that is as deeply terrifying to you as anything in this world has ever been. It's so terrifying to you, in fact, that I want you to go ahead and add a minute to your clock for even having perceived it.
Okay. So I'm going to look. So obviously, they will notice my head's been swiveling around, and I've picked up the pile of rubble and the tunnel that we're supposed to go down, that I'm not going to go down. And I can see our 2 friends from the temple. And I can look around and I go, is the nexus still up?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Then in my head, I'm going to say, our friends from the temple are here.
Where? Oh.
Oh,
That.
do you really want me to point at them?
So because of the way that Psychic Nexus works, you can actually just highlight them in their field of vision. You can force them to see them.
So I can project
Yep.
my image into their head. Okay, fair.
Totally.
So I'll do that so that they can see it. The symbol suggests that we go that way. However, there's something down there that terrifies even our friends. And you've known me for a while, Calidus. I'm not someone that gets overly excited about anything because I'm anhedonic. But even that tunnel concerns me.
But that's almost the direction we need to go.
You, Lanky. That's me speaking out loud to the tall guard.
He'll sort of, yeah. Well, how can I help you?
That's the way that we should go, but I advise that we don't. Do one of these conjoining tunnels reconnect further down?
So he considers you for a moment, and he knows who you are. And he'll look down the other tunnels, and he'll say, "Look, I'm going to be as honest and as open with you as I can be. We could try one of these other tunnels, and we could be lost down here until day breaks, and then we could emerge in the middle of the forum, and all of your heads could be cut off, and ours along with you."
And let me put it this way. If you go down there, you're dead.
He looks back, and you see just the briefest moment of him looking at something. You see him looking at something. Back the way you came. Down the tunnel where the mournful consort is standing. And he says, "I don't know who you are. I mean, I know who you are, but I don't know who you are. And I don't know why tonight is the night. But my brother and I, we know we're not making it out of this. The harbor is that way. Every tunnel leads to death. We'll let you make the decision."
It would appear, gentlemen, our two friends here have just volunteered to sacrifice themselves so that we can make a break for it.
I say we take them up on such a generous offer, and if we have to engage, I've got something up my sleeve I think possibly could turn the tide in our favor.
I'm in agreement. They know what they were hired for.
We only ask one bit of compensation. Whether we live or die, you spread the stories of what happens tonight.
Your names, gentlemen.
And they give you the names that a good storyteller would have planned for.
You got it. You got it.
Gotcha.
You got it. Got it.
Bill and Bob. Billicus and Bobicus.
Go somewhere.
We will tell
I'll
the
have
tales of
names for
Billicus
you.
and Bobicus.
When you regather, I'll have names of these two self-sacrificing gladiators for you.
I will honor their request gladly. In my head, I'm thinking, well, as much as I can.
Yes,
Well-
biggest, thickest, and little.
And a little bit bigger. So they will say, in that case, tell us which way to go.
How about Titus and Cineros?
Titus and
Titus and
Cineros.
Cineros.
Perfect. I'll write it down.
Forward.
So towards the harbor?
Yep,
Yes.
towards the harbor.
They
Backwards is
immediately,
definitely certain death.
Titus, who is the larger Germanic man, the sort of face, moves out in front of you. Cineros, the smaller, probably Persian guy, moves to the back. He is the
Well,
one-
didn't you just say they're brothers?
Yeah, well, I mean, gladiators are brothers.
Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough.
He moves to the back of you, and he turns around and starts backing as you guys move down the hall. And he's just got his gladius out in one hand and his pugiel out in the other. And you guys are moving. You begin
Okay.
to move.
And this thing's
into
been
the-
highlighted for me, right?
What's been highlighted for you?
The
consorts.
consorts.
Oh yeah, you can
Consorts
see them.
entering down the tunnel.
You can see them, and they're keeping pace at an exact distance as you guys are moving. They're sort of keeping pace, making sure that you stay as between them and whatever is down this tunnel as you have been.
Yes, monsters have things even they're afraid of. Typically other monsters.
I am going to say, so we're at 11:45 now. So I really don't want to start a combat with 15 minutes left to go. So instead, what I am going to say is that
We can field questions.
No, I know where this is going.
No, from chat.
Oh yeah, I understand that, but I know where the story is going. So you guys are moving down this hall, and you are moving for what feels like hours. It can't be, because there are drain culverts from above that would show sunlight if you had ventured into the dawn, and you haven't. But it feels for all the world like you must have. And all the while, the consorts are keeping a pace from you, and something is keeping them from advancing. And the gladiators are clearly trying to figure out, trying to prepare themselves for this battle to the death that is coming. But it doesn't come. And that anticlimax is almost just as bad as being killed. In many ways, it's worse. Because this feeling of impending dread and doom never goes away. You think at a certain point it has to hit the ceiling and something has to happen, but it doesn't. Nothing happens. And that feeling just keeps growing. And suddenly you see the cold light of a full bright moon shining, not through a grate, but down a set of stairs. And Titus seems just as shocked as everybody else at finally having reached the end. But he immediately stands aside and points up the stairs and says, everybody, please get to the surface as quickly as possible.
So me twice.
All right.
Yeah, I am doing it. On my legs, I have.
Everybody emerges. This time, both Titus and Sonoros come up behind you because they wait till everybody is up before they come up. You emerge into the harbor yard. There are 4 ships docked. Ships at this time period are big, but not big by our standards at all. They're triremes, so they're big enough for you to move around on. You would see them as being relatively large boats. And there are 3 of them. One of them is the one that you know you're supposed to go to because this is where the gladiators are pushing you. And that's it. There are people milling about, but it's really late at night. So it's actually almost morning. So it's just mostly dockhands milling about. So there's maybe 25 people moving around on the dockyard side, and there are various people moving around on the deck of the ship.
we board? Like, I'm.
You move
Like-
towards the boat.
Yep, moving towards the ship.
And as Sempronii Priscus' foot is just about to hit the plank, it is drawn away as quickly as it can be. And the people on board the ship, they don't seem to be looking at you like they hate you. They seem to be just like they're terrified. They've drawn the plank away. There's no way for you to get to the boat. And you turn around, and there is a cohort of soldiers marching up into the dockyard. And they are led by Lucius Cornelius Priscus.
Shoots.
Assholes.
I turn.
Who's the one who saw that there's something happening, something supernatural happening? Was that Quillis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the thing. It's him.
Oh, he's the supernatural thing.
Yes, fallback. It's 250 men.
Okay, say that again. So, obviously, because I have activated Panopticon, what am I seeing when I'm looking at Chrysogonus?
You're still seeing Chrysogonus. He's still just who he is, which is a good-looking, muscular legionnaire. Or he's not a legionnaire, he's a legatus, but...
Yeah, is what's her name, the tall chick with the antlers? Is she running him again?
She's there, yes. She is standing off to one corner, again, with a very calm sense of detachment, watching these events unfold. You can see also the consorts. They're not coming up the stairs. The moonlight seems to hurt them. They're recoiling when its beams hit them.
The Nexus is still up and running.
Yes, it is.
Colorless, I advise you, I suggest you, shall we say, entreat with those men on board to lower the plank quickly.
Chrysogonus marches his men. Again, it's 250 men. It's a full cohort. And they've come at you from 3 different positions. They're all standing perfectly still, except for Chrysogonus himself. And he moves forward. And he's in his musculata, he's not pulled naked steel yet. But he says, members of the Sempronii family, there are many ways that this can happen. I'm going to leave it to you to decide. He's looking at Prisca because he does not actually notice Calidus is there. Sempronii Prisca Minor, I have no reason to slaughter you like a dog in the streets. I don't wish to do so. I will make this simple for you. Your legacy belongs to Rome. That means you leave it all behind. You board that ship, you're free to go. But there's something that you carry with you that stays behind.
I would address him as. How would I address him? I can't remember.
Lucius Cornelius Chrysogonus, or you could just call him Chrysogonus.
Chrysogonus, As you can plainly see, today is the eve of my graduation of my service to the people of Rome.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Simply wish to leave peaceably.
And I wish to allow you to leave.
And
Okay.
I'm
And yet,
gonna
and
in
yet,
your head. No.
and yet, you come here, you frighten the crew, and you make demands of me when all else has been taken from me this evening except the clothes I wear on my person and the people around me. And you say I must still leave more? What more?
I tell you in your head,
I'm-
say that your brother has it and he's somewhere else.
Besides, if there is anything still to do with our legacy, I am sure that my worthless brother has it. As he is saw fit to leave me to my own devices and my own survival. So please, tell me, what more must I leave to Rome, other than my life, my family, the riches that they worked so hard for? What more? I am making a scene about it.
Sempronii Minor, I respect your position, and I wish you no ill will. However, he leans forward barely perceptibly, and he whispers loud enough for you to hear, Solaris. And when he does, there is no amount of covering on that lead tablet that will stop those words from burning through. They are obvious to everyone in this gathering. You see the light pouring out from underneath the linen covering. I know precisely where your brother is.
He snarls
still
at
with you.
him and is just, you wretch.
A wretch I may be, but I am a wretch with a mission to save Rome. And were you the daughter of Rome that you claim to be, you would wish to see her saved as well.
Do not talk to me of being a daughter of Rome. You know nothing of service.
I know nothing of service. You
Not-
are a spoiled patrician bitch who lauds herself on the riches of the mother wolf while the rest of us starve for milk. I would be more than happy to allow you to board this vessel and leave my city, but not while you carry that. Make your decision. Turn it over or die here tonight. And with that, we're going to go ahead and I love you all. We're going to pause for the night.
Times.
Love it!
Oh,
It was so
Eric,
much
just
fun!
as I was about to do something.
Yeah.
yeah.
I was literally going to do something, but never mind.
I want you to do the thing, but I don't want whatever you're going to do is going to kick off a whole new thing that's going to take some time to resolve. So we are 4 minutes from the end of our tour this evening. So we are going to do this. We are going to be back next week. We're going to tell the third episode of this story that still has several episodes to go because I'm trying to give Gavin a big break here before he has to come back and run. So I will see you guys again. Let me hold on and pull up the thing I'm supposed to read at the end of the night. It's here. Hold on, I got this. Kat sent me a whole thing, and it is it's taking too long. I can't remember it. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to say thank you guys very much for attending the game tonight. Thank you for showing up and watching this. We got a lot of big stuff building for the Midnight World. Probably the biggest thing that we have coming up is that I don't know if you know this, but right now you can go and get one of these beautiful premium color 224-page hardback volumes that tells you everything you need to know about running the Midnight World at your table, and you can get it for 15% off for the rest of the month. So please go do that. I also would very much like you, a lot of your folks may be aware of the D4 podcast. D4 is mostly a D&D podcast, but next week on Sunday, on their main gaming stream, I will be running the Midnight World. So please, if you are familiar with them, drop by and watch that. If you're not familiar with who D4 is, Google them or come on over to the Midnight World Facebook page. Make sure that you drop by their stream. They're freaking awesome. They have a huge audience. I'd love to see some audience share between the two streams. And thank you guys very much for supporting us this far. We really appreciate it. Now I'm going to go real quick. Gavin, plug yourself. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Next.
Okay. That is rad. I will be there, especially if it gives me 2 weeks to prepare for the next game.
Yeah. So next Monday, they can't hear Izzy. So there is a listen party at 9:00 in the Discord. So that is where we will be. We will not be running Midnight Monday next Monday.
So I have 2 weeks to prepare, which is fantastic.
Yes. But anyway, I am Gavin. I am the, I guess, host of this thing.
Yeah, hold on. To actually to expand on what the listening party is, our very, very lovely cheese cat is going to be featured on the Scarab Archives, and we're going to be doing a listening party on that.
Yes.
Which is super exciting because it's actually one of my favorite podcasts. I'm so excited to be there. So that's why we're not going to be here next week.
I'm going to be there. I'm going to listen to
But
that.
I'm definitely going to be at that podcast. So if you want to come hang out with
us,
us, please come see us in the Discord. We're going to have fun.
Right. And and thank you everybody for coming, as always. I'm Gavin, one of the developers of the game, typically the host here. We'd like to make a special thank you to Izzy, who does all the work we don't want to do, which are those background things that make us so annoyed. Just thank everybody for coming. Thanks for listening, and look forward to playing again in a couple weeks.
Hell yeah. I heard that Arania is doing some stuff. So Arania, what are you doing?
I am actually going to be streaming tomorrow. I'm going to be playing a game called Potionomics, which is a witchy. If you've ever played Rectier, it's a similar game where you're making stuff, selling stuff. It's like Capitalism Ho, but it's also a dating sim, which is really super cool. So we're going to be getting into a lot of friendship building, a lot of romance. I'll be on twitch.tv/AraniaStars tomorrow at 6 p.m. And I hope to see y'all there.
Potionomics is super ridiculously fun. That and Strange Horticulture have become some of my favorite games recently.
Yes.
I'm such a nerd. So Solus, what's going on? I'm sorry, the Serpent, what is going on with you, my man? Tell us about you.
Once again, I'm just a heckin' nerd who likes to RP. So I'm just pleased as punch to be here. Right now, like I said, I have some random hobbies. My ADHD likes to glom onto whatever comes across that's interesting, and lately it seems to be brewing mead. I made a blueberry mead about a month ago and drank it almost immediately.
Where are you local to, by the way?
I'm local to Arizona, actually.
Oh, that's far away. I was going to say I'll come drink your mead, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah,
you live
it's a bit of a drive.
I too have been known to brew some mead.
I'm talking about that.
It burns blue, but it tastes pretty all right.
Yeah.
But right now, I've got a bit of a sort of methaglen going on right now. I've set up some I got some orange blossom honey and put in some like a cinnamon stick, some cloves, some allspice berries, and some shavings of orange, basically orange peel, basically. And that's been bubbling on my counter for about a week now, and I'm just excited to see where that goes. I've actually got a plan to do a sizer probably here in the next week or so. So
sizers are my favorite thing to do. They're delicious.
Yeah. So
All right,
it
because
sounds
I
like it'll be
know
fun.
My
So I
battery
just-
is going to explode in just a minute, so we're going to move on to my man, the Arcanist. Tell me a little bit about what's going on with you.
I'm busy. Our new stream will be coming on Wednesday, 9th of November, over on our channel, Arcanist TTRPG. It's a space sci-fi opera that's going to be wild, crazy. Been spending a lot of time building some spaceships and planets and stuff on Telspire, so we've got some awesome maps, and I'm playing around with the new cyberpunk space battles. It's going to be pretty intense, and that's going to be using our system, Arcanus, which is a genre neutral TTRPG that will be coming out relatively soon. We should be doing another Kickstarter probably next month.
Right on.
Nice.
All right, guys. Well, we've gotten to the end of the night. I want to thank all of my players. I want to thank all of the viewers. I want to remind you once again, next week, 9 p.m. Eastern, we're going to do this listen party for the Scarab Archives. We're going to support our Nat 30s, The Compound Folk. And please buy my book, because we're closing in on silver bestseller on drive-through, and that is validation. And I'm a whore for validation. You don't understand. So thank you guys very much. We're going to go ahead and end the evening.
Bye, everybody.
buddy.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.